Got it going on, you guys. So, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to our weekly market update. And let's get started. We've got a few of you guys on this morning, which is great. Happy Monday. I hope everybody who has wives, moms, everybody got a mama, right?
Yes.
Even if they're no longer with us. Um, I hope that you guys were able to have a good Mother's Day. If you are a mom, happy belated Mother's Day. But hopefully you were able to celebrate with your mom. If not, I know that that's must be the hardest thing in the world not to have your mom. So I pray that you guys made it through yesterday, with just fond memories of the woman who raised you. So I spent it with my mom and it was wonderful. My daughter, unfortunately, my grandbaby is sick.
Mm.
And so I wasn't able to spend it with my grandkids yesterday, or my daughter. And my son is 17, 18 years old. The dude, like, is like, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. And then, that was that. So I was like, okay. So that was that. Um, but anyway, okay, so let's go. So today, you guys know to be TCPA compliant, please do not call people on this list because you will get your little hand slapped, and we don't want any hand slapping. Okay. Because hand slapping means money. When I say hand slapping, I really don't mean that. I mean like you're gonna get fined. Yeah, and we don't want you to get fined. Keep your money. All right, Los Angeles County is up first, as always, right? So, for sale properties is up 7.2% over last month, meaning we have 7.2% more inventory than we did last month. In LA County, we have 38.9% more inventory, more for sale properties than we did last year at this time last year, which is great. That's almost 40% more inventory. So that is wonderful. We need the inventory because as you will see later on, we're still in that seller's market or right there at that threshold of a neutral market or a normal market. Sold properties is down 29.9% over last month. So properties that have actually closed escrow. However, overall, sold properties are actually 0.7%. And we're watching this because great, what we've heard is that our market is supposed to have improved this year in terms of closing. However, we are really having a sluggish start, and spring is supposed to be our hottest time of the year for real estate sales, and yet we are still having a sluggish spring. Okay. Pendants are down 23.2% over last month and down 0.8% over last year. So obviously we've got more inventory, but we are seeing that in escrows are now trending downward to the tune of 0.8% less than we did last year. Now that's not a lot, right? So we're not like, the sky's not falling. That's not a lot at all. And we'll see if we're able to rebound here between spring and summer. All right. But the economy, everything that's going on, that the politics and the economy, the interest rates, a lot of uncertainty right now. It's causing people not to move forward on the buy side. All right, new listings. All right, new listings is down 29.9% over last month. However, it's up 16% overall as compared to last year. Okay, so we do have more new listing inventory as compared to last year in LA County, which is great. We need the new listing inventory. We need more opportunities for listings. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, that's Danila. All right. All right. Average active price is down 2.4% over last month. So sellers are asking 2.4% less than they did last month. Overall, average active price is down 8.5% as compared to last year. And that's a pretty big jump, right? Sellers are asking for, on an average, 8.5% less than they did last year. However, look at here, they're receiving 8.3% higher than they did last year. So, it's almost like 100-degree switch, right? They're asking for less, receiving more, right? And so we'll keep an eye on this. This is actually, it's a little bit outside the range of a normal appreciation, right? Normal appreciation is between 4 to 7%. LA County is receiving 8.3% higher than they did last year. So sellers are receiving a little bit more than normal in terms of appreciation over last year. And then you need to be hyper local. Look at what they are, appreciation rates are in your specific area, your specific zip code and pocket that you're target marketing in. All right, months of inventory is up 49.6% over last month. We were at 2.6 months of inventory last month. We're at 3.9 months of inventory currently. And then as compared to last year, it's up 37.1%. We were at 2.7 months of inventory last year. We're at 3.7 months of inventory. So like I was saying, we're still in a seller's market. We are approaching a normal market, right? But we are still at 3.7%, 3.7 months of inventory, which is still a seller's market. Sellers have the leverage, right? Sellers have the leverage. Although sellers are getting smarter, they're saying that's why they're pricing their properties less than they did last year, because they're saying, hey, we recognize there's more inventory on the market. Buyers have more choices. So we need to make a change. Interest rates are higher. Things are still, a lot of uncertainty. So we need to entice buyers to come look at our property, right? To buy our property. And so in order to do that, they're saying, okay, I'm going to sell it for a little bit less. Okay. Although on the flip side, they're actually receiving more. Okay. All right. Average days on market is 8.8% lower than it was last month. We were at 34 days on market last month. We're at 31 days on market currently, this first 11 days of the month. And then overall, 15.2% increase. Okay. And that's what we do expect, is that days on market would increase. With more inventory, days on market would increase because buyers have more options, right? So we were at 33 days on market last year. We're at 38 days on market currently. Sold versus original list price is 1% change, decrease over last month. We were at 99% of, we were at sold versus original list price. So we were at 99% of list price last month. And currently we're at 98% of list price. What that means, sellers are receiving 98% of what they list the property for. Okay. And no change over last year. Last year at this time, we were at 98% of list price. Currently 98% of list price. So almost 100% of list price. That is actually really great. Okay. Orange County for sale properties is up 12.8% over last month. So properties came on the market, increase of 12.8% over last month, up 64.9% over last year, which is phenomenal, right? 64.9% increase over last year. So we've got a lot more inventory that has come on the market over last year. Okay. Sold properties down 29% over last month. Overall, only down 2% over last year. So we are still not, we haven't increased in Orange County. We've actually decreased in terms of the amount of closings that we've had, to the tune of 2%. Now, it's not huge, right? But you would expect that with this kind of increase in inventory that we would also see an increase in sales. And we just haven't seen that yet. Again, because of a lot of factors, interest rates, affordability, uncertainty being a few. All right. Pendants are down 11% over last month and down 3.3% over last year. So 2 of the 3 of our major sales trends are in the red, which is not normal for Orange County. Okay. Normally, just like LA County, it's 3 out of 3 are in the green, trending in the right direction. So we definitely are going to keep our eyes on this. And I'm sure as a whole, nationwide, that these are things that the Fed looks at. These are things that the National Association of Realtors looks at, these trends, to give us guidance in terms of where we're going, right? As a market, as a market. So new listings are down 39.9% over last month. And however, up 12.6% over last year. So that's really good. We're still moving in the right direction in terms of having new listing inventory on the market. Average active price is down 5.7% as compared to last month and down 9.8% as compared to last year. So sellers are on average asking for 9.8% less than they did last year. And they're receiving 6.5% higher than they did last year. Okay, so they're trending at 6.5% appreciation over last year, which is great. Now that is in the normal amount of appreciation between that 4 to 7%, right? So that's a good sign for Orange County. And normally we see Orange County be even higher in terms of their levels of appreciation and what the sellers are asking. So even in the OC, they are being conservative. Very proud of the OC right now. So they're being conservative and they recognize that they need to be asking less because there is more inventory on the market, right? So that's what we're seeing. Months of inventory, so our absorption rate, we are seeing that we have increased 51.2% over last month. We were at 2 months of inventory last month. We're at 3 months of inventory currently. Overall, a 68.1% increase. Last year, we were at 1.6 months of inventory right now. And now we're at 2.7. So although it is not like 3.9 approaching that normal market, it does mean if you look at this, we are moving in the right direction. 68.1% improvement over last year is great. We definitely need to see Orange County, we need to see it get higher, because even here we're still in a very now I won't say severe seller's market, but we're definitely in a seller's market, right? And sellers definitely have the leverage in this market. Even though they have more inventory on the market, it's still not where buyer demand and seller supply is on equal ground. It's not right now. Okay, there's much more demand than there is inventory. Although the numbers in terms of closings would suggest that we're still a little bit off. Because we don't have enough closings, right? So we have some pent up demand there, but just not enough closings. All right, average days on market is 3.7% less than it was last month. We were at 27 days on market last month. We're at 26 days on market currently. You see how those numbers are a little bit different than LA County, right? They're more aggressive in terms of days on market. And then here where there's 28% increase last year, we were at 25 days on market. Currently, we're at 32 days on market. Okay, so not even staying on the market 30 days or a month, because of the fact that, again, we have only 2.7 months of inventory. So there still is still a need for more inventory. Sold versus original list price, only a 1% increase over last month. We were at 97% of list price last month. We're at 98% of list price currently. Again, normally in that case, you've got happy sellers. Overall, 2% decrease. Last year, we were at 99% of list price, and currently sellers are receiving 97% of list price. So still in the upper 90s, and definitely doing well. And we have, again, a significant influence on this particular number. We can help our sellers to achieve 100% of their list price by taking our advice and by us pricing that property right. Okay. Riverside County, for sale properties is up 2.8% over last month, and overall 40.1% increase over last year. So definitely, again, all counties have seen more inventory come on the market in all counties. Sold properties is down 23.5% over last month and down 2.5% over last year. So still sluggish in all the areas, it looks like. We'll see what San Bernardino is doing, but still sluggish in all the areas in terms of closings. Pendants are down 14.4% over last year, and then up overall 2.2% over last year. I'm sorry, 14.4% down over last month. Pendants, that's in escrows, right? However, overall, the amount of escrows has improved or increased 2.2% as compared to last year. Okay. So 2 out of the 3 major sales trends have actually gone up in Riverside County over last year. So that's great. New listing inventory has gone down 38.2% as compared to last month. Overall, still strong at 9.4% increase over last year. So we have more listings, more new inventory come on the market as compared to last year. All right. Average active price went down 1.1% over last month and down 1.7% over last year. So sellers are on average are asking for 1.7% less than they did last year. However, look at there, they're only receiving, it is on the positive though, 1.5% higher than they did last year. So that's good. I mean, it's not, what do you call it? It's not negative, right? It's not even flat. They are receiving some level of appreciation. It's just not high. And so for sellers, you're going to say, hey, we are still in the green. We're still receiving appreciation. And on the flip side with buyers, you're going to say, hey, if you're buying in Riverside County, it's a great buy right now because you're not having to buy with double-digit appreciation. If you're buying in Riverside County, you could only be buying 1.5% higher than it was last year, right? So it could be great on both sides. You could spin this story for both sides. All right. Months of inventory is improved 30.3% over last month. We were at 3.3 months of inventory last month. We're at 4.3 months of inventory currently. So in Riverside County, with that 4.3 months of inventory currently, it looks like we are approaching that threshold of that normal market. It's a 41.3% improvement over last year. We were at 2.7 months of inventory last year. We're at 3.8 months of inventory. So very close again to approaching that threshold of a normal market. Okay, what does that mean? That just means that supply and demand are on the same plane, right? They're equal. Okay. Sellers, there's just enough inventory out there to meet buyer demand, right? For every buyer, there's a seller. Okay, put it in those terms. For every buyer, there's a seller. All right. We shouldn't have this craziness that we're having with multiple offers, but I will tell you, I was just talking with an agent last week in our office, and I can't remember who it was. Who was that? I cannot remember who it was, but it was here in Downey, Bellflower. They said Downey, Bellflower, Santa Fe Springs. They're putting in offers all over with their buyer and still Eileen, and still getting beat out. Okay. And the reality is that she was saying that they had literally like 50, 60 offers on some of these properties. And her buyer was going 60, 70,000 over asking and was still losing. It's crazy. So when you see things leveling out in like Riverside County, that tells you that we shouldn't have that phenomenon happening in Riverside County because we are more in a normal market. Okay. For every seller, there's a buyer. For every buyer, there's a seller. Versus what Eileen is experiencing right here in LA County. Okay. All right. Average days on market has gone down 3.9% over last month. So, see if I can, let me do it. All right. Okay. So we were at 51 days on market last month. We are at 49 days we are 49 days on market currently. And then overall, an 18.2% increase over last year. So we were at 44 days on market last year. We're at 52 days on market currently. Again, don't let these numbers, make you lazy or make you think that you have time to get your buyers out there. You don't. You need to get them out there right away because that property could be in counters by the time you get there if you think you have almost 2 months, right? Because you really don't. Properties in nice areas that are in good condition, they go fast. Okay. Sold versus original list price is down 2.1%. Sellers are receiving 97% of list price last month. They're receiving 95% of list price currently. And then a 1% decrease over last year. as compared to last year, we were at 97% of list price last year. We're at 96% of list price currently. Okay. So let's go to San Bernardino County. San Bernardino County has seen a 7.7% improvement on for sale properties over last month. So we've got 7.7% more inventory as compared to last month. And overall, a 35.1% improvement over last year. Okay. So we are definitely across the board seeing more inventory come on the market, which was sorely needed, right? So it was sorely needed. And we're hoping that then the buyers will, we still have a lot of demand. In most cases, we still have a lot of demand. However, these sold, as you will see, sold, which means closings, are still down 26.6% over last month. Okay, but we're just talking about the first 10, 11 days in the month. However, this number is what we're really concerned about or looking at. It's that we're down 3.3% over last year, or as compared to last year, whereas all of the predictions were saying that we're going to experience more growth or more closings than we did last year. Currently, we're only seeing that, I believe, in LA County and slightly. Okay. So we really have to be keeping an eye on this and hoping that our spring and summer is going to propel us into that growth spurt. Okay. That growth spurt with closings. All right. Pendants are down 14.7% over last month, and they are down 1.5% over last year. So amount of properties that are going into escrow has decreased 1.5% as compared to last year. Now, these two numbers aren't staggering, right? They're not like, oh my God, we're 20% down. We're not. We're up 3.3% down and 1.5% down. It is not huge numbers, but definitely numbers for us to keep an eye on. Because that tells us the strength of the market, right? That tells us that buyers are buying. It tells us the strength of the market. So that's what we want to take a look at. All right. New listing inventory is down 37% as compared to last month. However, overall up 11.6% as compared to last year. So we definitely are seeing growth. We're getting more inventory on the market. Now we need the closings. All right. Average active price is up 1.5% as compared to last year, and down 2.1% as compared, 1.5% improvement over last month, average active price. However, it is down compared to last year, 2.1%. Okay. So the average active price sellers are asking in San Bernardino County 2.1% less than they did last year. And then they're receiving 5.5% more than they did last year. Okay. So right now, that's a really good sign. Again, they're asking for a little bit less, but they're receiving more. Okay. And that more is not significantly higher. It's in the normal range of appreciation between that 4 and 7%. So that's a great amount for sellers. You know, again, this is one of those stories you can go both ways with your buyer and your seller. Like, hey, Mr. Buyer, it's not that much more than what you would have bought for last year, which is great, right? You're not seeing these astronomical double-digit levels of appreciation, right? And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's be conservative with our pricing. Sellers are asking 2.1% less, but again, we can help them with that so that they can price it right and hopefully get more of their list price, right? So let's take a look. Months of inventory, 43.9% improvement over last month. Sellers are receiving we were at 3.6 months of inventory last month. We're at 5.2 months of inventory currently, right? So definitely this month, it looks like we are in that normal market in San Bernardino County. But again, we're talking county. County is big. You've got to narrow this thing down to your specific area, right? So as compared to last year, it's a 37.8% improvement over last year, increase over last year. We were at 3.2 months of inventory last year. We're at 4.4 months of inventory currently. Again, that is definitely moving us into that normal market. Okay. Average days on market is 18.2% higher than it was last month. We were at 44 days on market last month. We're at 52 days on market currently. And then overall, a 19.5% increase over last year. We were at 41 days on market last year. We're at 49 days on market currently. Okay. Sold versus original list price, a decrease of 1% over last month. We were at 98% of list price last month, 97% of list price currently. And then overall, no change. Sellers were receiving 98% of list price last year, and they're receiving 98% of list price currently, which is great. 98% of list price is high, right? That's where we can help our sellers to receive 100% of their list price by our involvement in that pricing strategy conversation. Okay. And 98% of list price, that means they had to take a little bit off, right? In terms of what they really wanted. But again, if we looked at the other, they're still receiving more than likely higher than they would have last year. Had they sold last year, they're receiving a little bit higher this year. Okay. All right. Any questions about our sales trends?
No, it's just incredible how they're still offering 60% above price and still being rejected. That's mind-boggling to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And it is mind-boggling to me as well. But I mean, a couple of years ago during COVID, we saw that. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then even before that, I mean, you had to give up your firstborn to get a house. And it was just bananas. We were making offers, 60 and 70,000 over asking. And so to hear her say that, I was like, wow. I had a house in Carson. We didn't do that. I mean, they did go 30 over asking, but not 60 or 70. But if they really want it, you have to do what you have to do to be competitive. And also look at, are there any other factors that could influence their decision besides price, right? What else is there? Is it how many days they need to stay in the house after escrow closes? Just whatever other factors, and we could talk about that. But yeah, definitely you want to get into that with the buyers, with the sellers, because you could win based on those other factors. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this week we have, thank you guys. You're at the industry update. Then we're going to have group coaching at noon with Diana. And then we have a tech workshop this evening with Eileen. Take control of your database and your business with Eileen. And then tomorrow we're going to have conversations in real play or conversation in role play. Now we're having that tomorrow and on Thursday at 9 a.m. Okay. So both days. Diana will be there tomorrow. I'll be there on Thursday. Okay. And this is all Zoom. I wanted to share this with you guys because I just want to thank everybody who participated in Red Day. You guys, it was amazing. It was amazing. I don't know if anybody's on who was there, but oh my God. It was the hardest project I've ever done with Red Day. And B, this little girl, Amelia, is just so beautiful and so strong. And this is her on the swing set, you guys, or on one part of the play set. And that's her and her dad. And this is us, everybody's working away. But it was just a fun time. It was hot, it was sweaty, we were sweaty. We want to thank Downey Capital for providing the lunch for us. We want to thank Rich and KW for providing the breakfast and the snacks. It was just amazing. And so this little girl, we got her gifts because her birthday was 3 days later. So we got her all kind of gifts. She loved them. She was just so ecstatic. Okay, I'll answer that in a minute, Brandon. Yep, thank you, Danila. Yeah, it was just amazing, you guys. Just a great opportunity to serve. Anytime you get a chance to serve someone other than yourself, I think it's great to give back. So she has leukemia and she is going through treatment. So we are still collecting money. We still need money for Red Day. We need to raise $2,500, and actually with everything in, it's like $3,000 because we had to have a porta potty there that cost $300. So we still need money. So if any of your clients or sphere of influence want to donate money, then please do, because we still need it. All right. All right.
And Brandon, you guys didn't create a code or anything like that to give. We just have to like bring it at the office, essentially.
Yeah, you could bring it at the office, or you could Zelle me.
Okay, copy that.
And I'll do that. I'll give it to the office. We are having Pavin's class tomorrow, you guys, at 1 to 2:30. Do not miss it. I'm so super excited about this, you guys, because this is where we're going over multifamily units, so that you can learn how to analyze them, market, get the market data, do the financial side of things, so that then you can pitch it to an investor or evaluate it to see if it's something you want to actually invest in. Okay, I'm actually taking this class as well because I've never done multi-units, done the analysis side. So I'm super excited about this. And Pavin is going to be using one of his case studies again. So definitely you want to join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock, 1 to 2:30. All right. We have our tech shop with Martha on Wednesday. So do not miss it. If you guys know about the tech workshop, Martha is amazing. She does great. She answers any of your questions, even if it's not on command. She goes into the MLS. She goes into all of the different tools that we have. She talks about Jorge's his app that they use. So you guys, you get so much more out of this class than just command. This is Realtors Volunteer Week for DAOR. So if you have any volunteer projects that you're looking to do, let us know about it so that we can take pictures and document and get it over to DAOR. And then we have Cornhole, which is Thursday. What is it? Let me look. I think it's Thursday, May 29th. Yep. If anybody wants to go to this, I do. I want to go to this. It's great to network. It's great to meet your fellow agents. If you want to go, let's get a team together so that we can play the cornhole. They've got bingo. You're going to get barbecue plates. It's a lot of fun. Okay, I know Shelly's gone. We've had quite. Diana's gone. Martha's gone. It's a lot of fun. And then you got Content Day. This is the third Thursday of the month, so that is going to be what, next Thursday. And so you are actually going to be touring any of the listings that are on the list, and you can video them. You know how you have to ask if you can video, take pictures at someone's listing. Well, in this case, by the fact that they're on the list, you are welcome to do that. They've given consent. Okay. Ignite, if you guys want to take a picture, if you guys have any Ignite, want to take Ignite with on the West Coast or on the East Coast for that matter. But these are online Ignite classes. So really good if you really want to get back into, building your business from the ground up and you missed some classes, these are really good. And we have our KW Summer Weight Loss Competition going on. For those of us who have joined in, it's such a bad time, right? Because we had Cinco de Mayo and we pigged out. We have Mother's Day. I did not hold back. So yeah. So, but if you want to join, $40, you could still join in, but it has already started and it ends June 30th. Okay. Industry news. So Real Estate News was reporting that, sorry guys. Real Estate News was reporting that 1 in 4 potential buyers waiting for rates to fall below 3%, which we know is not going to happen. They were saying that, buyers are still not accepting the fact that we are in the 6.5%, interest rate range. Okay. And that is why we see the sales being sluggish like they are, because buyers are looking at it and saying, I'm waiting for the interest rates to go down, and that's delaying their purchasing decision. But we know that that is really not going to happen. They surveyed about 2,500 potential home buyers, and this was done by BMO. I like their commercials; they're so silly. This was done by BMO, and they did say that they were waiting. 1 in 4 were waiting for 3%. They said about another 17% said that they are used to or are okay with between 6 and 6.5, and getting used to that 6 and 6.5. So, you know, the bottom line here, you guys, is you've got to find the motivated. Everybody is not going to be motivated to buy a house right now with the interest rates where they are, but interest rates are still historically on in the averages, right? Interest rates in the past, between the last 30 years, have been between 6.5% and 7.5%. That's just the historical average. And so we really have to work on educating our buyers. Now, affordability is still an issue. So the reality is they can afford it, they can't afford it. But we can help them in terms of determining that, right? If they can or cannot afford it. Okay. This is said the idea of buying a starter home and upgrading later is losing its appeal, with 58% of respondents viewing this strategy as outdated. Yeah, I remember they only interviewed 2,500 people, first of all, which is a small set when you think about everybody that's even in LA County, right? That's a small set. But the reality is that 58% of them said, 58% of them said that buying a smaller home or buying an outdated home and upgrading later, that's losing its appeal. But that's the way you get started. That's the reasonable way to get started in home ownership, is buy the condo, buy the townhome, wait a few years, and then trade up. Okay. I know that's what I did. And I know that's what a few of my clients have done. And I'm talking when I talk trade up, they've traded up in the $1 million homes, and they went from a condo. So homes.com aims to one up Zillow with listings boost. So Zillow bans any publicly marketed but off market MLS property. So that what that means is these people who are trying to do pocket listings and they're not putting it on the MLS, but then they want to publicly market it on Zillow or on realtor.com. Zillow has banned those. They said, nope, if it's not on the MLS, we're not going to market it for you. Okay. So you cannot market your property unless it actually is on Zillow. I mean, if it is on the MLS. Now, homes.com has come in and said, well, we're going to one up you, Mr. Zillow. We will market those properties for those realtors. And we'll offer them a listing boost, right? So bottom line is that is being offered by homes.com. I wanted to bring that to your attention, that if you are trying to do a pocket listing, your Zillow is not going to be where you're going to be able to market that property. Homes.com, you can market that property. I don't know about realtor.com if you can do it there, but Zillow.com has drawn a line in the sand and said, no, they're not going to do it. They only want to boost and market properties that are on the MLS. Okay. Buyers back in the market as mortgage rates plateau. So this was talking about how mortgage applications have improved last month to the tune of 11%. So that means that there's more people actually looking at getting pre-approved and purchasing a home, right? Because mortgage applications, that's kind of our indicator. Also, foot traffic into homes. Redfin was reporting that foot traffic into homes over last month actually did improve as well. So we are seeing an uptick in the amount of traffic and the amount of mortgage rates, amount of mortgage applications that have been sent over. So that's good. I mean, that's what we want to see. That's what we're hoping to see, is we're hoping to see that buyers are starting to move and starting to jump into the market. Okay. And mortgage rates have plateaued. We did hear from the Fed that they are not looking to make any changes to interest rates right now. They are still monitoring inflation and looking at everything that's going on with the economy. So they are not making a move right now. Okay. So mortgage rates are still pretty level in those mid sixes. Okay. And again, this is still that time to be telling your buyers that we want to date the rate and marry the house. That the house house prices are still going up. Don't miss your opportunity to buy now versus waiting until the house price really goes up. And people are saying, "Oh, it might crash." We even had this brief conversation on Red Day. Somebody was saying that, "Oh, we think prices may crash, the market may crash," and just the data does not suggest that our market will crash. Markets crash when there's no equity. Markets crash when the people are over their heads. That's not where we're at. That's not where we're at. And a bunch of investors have taken up a bunch of properties. That is not where we're at, you guys. Most people have equity in their home to the tune of 50%. Most people are not underwater. So it is not going to be, we just don't have those indicators that we're going to have this big bubble. So, keep that in mind when you're talking with people, because that's what's being said. And we have to fight back with data. Okay. All right. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent podcast came out today. How to turn new agents into top producers. This should be a good one. So you guys listen in. Both of these guys are PC coaches, well-renowned PC coaches, Josh Dukes and Aaron Jones. And then the One Thing podcast came out as well, and talking about how to create extraordinary results after losing it all. And they're talking about losing it all after like a major disaster. Okay. So if you've got clients, not even if you have clients, you never know when you might be talking to somebody who's going through something, and you can help them by something that you learn on this podcast, right? So this is always a good source of information to listen in on. And just so you know, the MREA is coming in Spanish. So if anybody is interested in getting the Millionaire Real Estate Agent in Spanish, please let me know. So that I can order them in bulk. We can get them for cheaper. Okay. All right. I think that is it for today, you guys. Let me stop my share. All right. I think that's it for today. Anybody got any questions? We're good. Where do we find the do not call list? The do not call list, you don't find the do not call list, Brandon. I was going to say it finds you, but that's not true either. If you get your list, your of information of numbers, right? Whoever you get your list of numbers from should have scrubbed it via the do not call list. Okay, so whatever provider you're getting your list of numbers from, they should have scrubbed it. Like if you're using a Carolina with our termite company, if you're using their data, they scrub it, and next to it they've got a column that says Y or N. That means yes, call them, or no, do not call them. Okay, so you got to look at that. And if you have any other questions, just give me a call on the side. Anybody else got any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Janet, you had a question? Oh, you're no, I can't hear you, honey. It's like you're muted, but on my side, you're not.
Hold on.
Yeah, I got you now.
Hello?
Yep.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, can you go, I know you mentioned it, and I know about the market that we're not going, we don't see anything happening, any crash, anything like that. but you mentioned it something. Can you go over again? So just to keep in mind about how's the market won't crash, right? Most people, yeah. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. So you have to look at what factors, right, included in a market crash, like what happened. And when our market bubbled, right, we had a lot of investor speculative investing, which means that we had a lot of investors buying up properties. That was number one. And then they would flip them and then they would sell them and they would sell them at this higher price, right? We do not have a lot of that right now. Okay. We had a lot of people buying homes that shouldn't have bought homes, right? We had a lot of folks getting into homes because we had very relaxed how do you call it? Very relaxed rules and regulations as it pertains to who could buy. So people were buying because they had a good credit score. They were buying with these no document loans, right? And so they were getting in, but they were working at McDonald's or they were retired and they didn't have the income, but they thought, oh, I can get in all these homes and then I can rent them out and make the money, blah, blah, blah. We don't have that because we do not have those relaxed requirements. Right now, you got to be a legit buyer to buy, right? For the most part. So you have to have full doc, you have to be able to show your income, all of that. And so we've had that for the last 10 years, ever since the crash, right? Everything got tightened up. So you don't have that either. You don't have loans that are interest only, right? And so people are paying these interest only loans in the principal, and so you have these kind of I forget what they're called, but yeah. So you don't have that. You have people in traditional 30-year fixed loans, right? So those conditions, and then over the last 10 years, people have built up equity in their homes, right? So we're talking 85% of homeowners right now in America have over 50% equity in their home. We didn't have that back then. People were upside down. They owed more on their home than it was actually worth. Or they had very skinny amounts of equity. And so once you added in commissions and stuff, there was nothing left for that person, right? So people were walking away because I don't have nothing in here, no way, right? You don't have that now.
What about the other side, the economy? I mean, unemployment and things like that.
Unemployment is still very good though. We're out, wages are good, unemployment is low. Economy is good. The only thing that you have right now that is inflation, they're trying to keep inflation at bay, right? But the only thing that you really have out there that's causing a lot of uncertainty, right, are the political side of things, which are the tariffs and the closing of certain federal agencies, right, which causes more unemployment. But on a national level, unemployment rates are under 5%, which they call that full employment.
Okay.
So, and that's not affecting us at all. So, and wages are higher. So we're not impacted by that either. Affordability in California has always been an issue, and it's going to continue to be an issue. Right? That's just the reality. Which is why people that can't try to go to other states and purchase. But if you look at overall, we don't have a problem in terms of getting buyers into houses in California because it's still one of the more sought after states among the United States of America because of the weather and the beaches and all that, right? So that's why I said it's about finding the motivated. It's not about nitpicking on what's wrong and this and that, because if you look at some of the agents that are here in Southern California, they're killing it. If you look at Fred Said's group, killing it. If you look at Derek Oy's group, killing it, because it's all about sifting through the hundreds to find the one.
That's true.
Right? You only need one or two a month right? That's the key. You only need 1 or 2 a month. Really, you know, if you're anybody like me, you want 2. I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive.
Right.
Right. So
Mhm.
I got to do a little bit more, double down, because I'm not just looking for 1, I'm looking for 2. I'm looking for 2 and 3 closings a month. I'm not looking just for 1 closing a month. Okay. So we really have to get strategic about the pool we're fishing from in terms of what are your lead generation levers? Where are you fishing from? Is it yielding benefits for you? Like Janet, you've been looking at expireds and for sale by owners, specifically expireds that I know of for quite a while now, right? So it's like, okay, is that working? How long have I been doing it? Is it working? And let's check my strategy first to make sure I got a working strategy. If I got a working strategy and it's not working, then we might need to switch that up.
Yeah.
If you've been doing it for a year, I tell everybody you got to give something a year. I know that's a long time, but that's why you're supposed to have 3 lead generation levers, not just 1, because you got to diversify. Because if one's not working and you're trying it out, you got to give it a year. You got to have these other 2 that are working.
Yeah. Getting from the other ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
So, and Janice, we could definitely talk about that offline. Let's talk about like your strategy. Let's really dive into it. I'd really like to do a little bit of a deep dive so that we can really figure this out. But the reality is, you guys, is that that's what it takes. This takes really, really lead generation. You've got to up your game and start talking to people. And quite frankly, this is the other thing is I love open houses, but they're harder to do nowadays because you've got to be underneath. It's got to be underneath your umbrella. Now we are blessed because now we've got 4 or 5 offices under Rich's umbrella. Okay. So you got Santa Monica, Marina Del Rey, Eagle Rock, and us. So 4. Okay. So you can do open houses for your fellow folks and but you got to put it out there that you want to. Okay. The other thing is you've got the booth out here in front of Porto's. Janet, you should be doing the booth. You speak Spanish. That booth is amazing. Karina got 10 leads. Nayeli took a listing and got the buyer from the booth. Armando's on here last year. He took 2 buyers from there. I know 1 he closed. So it generates leads, right? Viable leads. So the reality is that why wouldn't you do that if you could add 2 more pieces of business to your portfolio, to your transaction list? Why wouldn't you do that? Right? So we got to get out there and do that. And then video. And I know you do video on your social media, and we just might need to get a little bit more intentional about that. Where you're doing it, how consistent you are, how you're following up on it, that kind of thing. Okay. Because that's where people are at, right?
So-
you got to go where your people are. And that's where people are at. They're on their phones all the freaking time. So if that's where they are, that's where we got to be. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Janice, for the
Thank
question. You guys have a great week and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brandy.
Bye.
You're welcome, Armando.